Hey y'all, today we're going to be talking about the Idaho 4 case because I am fascinated that Brian Koberger's first public statement since being arrested is him claiming his innocence and redacting his guilty plea under the premise of false promises and lack of discovery on some important evidence, according to Koberger. Apparently, a clump of medium-length red-colored hair was found in Ethan Chapin's hand that was never tested and did not match Koberger. However, it has been stated that Brian Koberger's team actually did hire a DNA expert to test that hair, and they found that the hair was Ethan's own hair. I'm not sure if Brian Koberger maybe knows something that we don't, but it will be interesting to follow how this all plays out. I also found it extremely interesting to watch the investigators speak in the new Netflix documentary that came out regarding this case, because there were a few choices they made that didn't make much sense to me. This case will take you for a spin if you dive in deep enough. So today, I'm here to break down some of the potential conspiracy theories surrounding this case, hopefully in a more simple and respectful way. Many theorize that even if Koberger was the murderer, that he could not have acted alone. There are a few strange instances that help back this theory. The first being that there were no bloody footprints left behind anywhere. It makes it seem like there was a partial cleanup that could have taken place, or I guess it's possible that Koberger just kept it very clean. I read a comment where a guy explained that when he's wearing those little blue booties that you slip over your shoes while doing a cleanup job, instead of taking the dirty booty all the way off and changing them out, he just slips a clean pair over the dirty pair. So if Koberger thought this out thoroughly enough, which according to the police he did, then I'm sure he could have found a way to leave no tracks behind. But I still feel like it is a little strange that there are no bloody tracks left anywhere, especially outside the house. There were no footprints coming in or out of the house that were related to the case, which is strange.
Those footprints in the snow outside, which we thought initially could be part of the evidence, ultimately we found that those were not a part of the crime.
In Dylan's interrogation interview, she actually mentions how the whole house did a deep clean a few days before they held a Friday party. And for some reason, Dylan thought the deep clean from before the party would wash away DNA from after the party.
Nothing right now. I mean, the only weird thing that we had was that no one took our DNA at the station, which I know you guys are doing now, which I totally forget about. But the one thing is about the DNA stuff is Friday night we did have a party, and you have most of those people, but like there's going to be a lot of DNA, and we had parties about every single weekend. That was normal. We did deep cleans, but like I don't know if you can take away every single DNA just from a deep clean. I don't think you can. So it's just like I hope you find something, but it may be really hard because we have people over all the time.
When did you do the deep clean?
Do you know when Parents Weekend was?
Yes, it was the weekend.
So that we did the deep clean either Wednesday or Thursday. I think we did both days, I'm pretty sure.
Well, what's important is there is evidence in the scene that the offender left, and that's what we're going to focus on.
There is.
So that's important for you to know. It's going to be
The way she reacts when the detectives tell her that the suspect left behind DNA is starkly different than her tone throughout the rest of the interview. It feels like when someone has that sharp head snap when they hear something that startles or worries them, like there is. Then there's the fact that no blood was found anywhere in Koberger's car.
The FBI did a complete deep dive into the vehicle, almost basically disassembling it, but that vehicle was spotless. There was nothing to be found.
It's almost like he had to have changed out of his bloody clothes while still inside the house, which is actually totally plausible because he was in the house 3 times longer than what would have been needed to carry out the murders. It was actually Kaylee's sister, Olivia, that came out with that information in her comment section when people were starting to speculate in there. For all we know, he completely lined the inside of his car and then removed the lining after the murders. Nothing is really out of the question. Another reason that people theorize Kohberger didn't do this alone is because when he was arrested, it was reported that he asked, "Has anyone else been arrested?" However, it's important to note that the article where this was stated has since been completely wiped from the internet. So do with that what you will. It could all be chopped up to Kohberger plotting a storyline and trying to throw off the investigation. So it's hard to say whether we can take that seriously or not. Now, the theory that Kohberger had a helper is not too crazy, but these next 2 theories are completely out of the box, so bear with me while we go over them together. There are 2 deaths that occurred in Moscow, Idaho at the beginning of 2022, the same year of the Idaho 4 murders. There are theories that these deaths could also be connected to the Idaho 4, but the actual proof of this is quite limited. The first death is the apparent suicide of Hannah Cleary that took place on February 24th, 2022. The rumor is that Hannah was dorm mates with Kaylee and Calvis before Kaylee moved into 1122 King Road, and that Kaylee and Maddie had actually bullied Hannah into suicide. The rumor goes that the murders of the Idaho 4 were actually revenge for Hannah's death. Someone somewhere left a horrible comment that said, "She deserved it. Each and every one of them deserved what they got. Karma finally caught up to the horror all of her gang did to that little girl back then." However, I think these rumors have basically been debunked because apparently Hannah's sister herself has actually spoken out saying that Hannah didn't kill herself. She was actually murdered. Now, this is where the second wild theory comes into play, and that is that the Sinaloa cartel had involvement with all 6 of these murders. There was another death of a young college man named Hudson Lindau in June of 2022. He was found drowned in a creek in Moscow, Idaho. Supposedly, Hudson had dated Kaylee at some point during her on-again, off-again relationship with Jack, and that Hudson apparently knew the truth about what happened to Hannah Cleary, and that's why he turned up dead. I obviously can't confirm any of this, so it's completely hearsay at this point, but this is literally a picture of Hudson with the 1122 King Road house right behind him. So whether he dated Kaylee or not, he definitely knew the Idaho 4 through mutual friends. Hudson's death is obviously also rumored to not actually be accidental, and that all of these 6 college students that passed away in Moscow, Idaho, were targeted because of their potential knowledge. It seems like a huge stretch, right? But I did look into if the Sinaloa cartel had any connections to Moscow, Idaho, and the AI immediately told me there was no known connection to the Idaho 4 case or Moscow, which I thought was kind of weird considering I didn't mention the Idaho 4 in my prompt, but then the AI kind of contradicted itself because it explained that there actually is a massive Sinaloa cartel presence in Idaho. It says the Sinaloa cartel's actual footprint in Idaho. While they are not tied to the college town of Moscow specifically, federal agencies have proven that the cartel heavily traffics the state. The number 1 guy in March 2025, the U.S. Department of Justice sentenced Hector Ojeda Manuel Aponte, the top Sinaloa cartel leader in Idaho, to 22 years in federal prison. The cartel's Idaho network distributed massive loads of methamphetamine, fentanyl pills, and bath salts through localized stash houses and business fronts, heavily impacting towns in the southern and western parts of the state like Napa and Boise. The Drug Enforcement Administration has also dismantled linked distribution cells in nearby Spokane, Washington, which borders northern Idaho. Now, I don't know if any of this means anything, but there is a creepy part of this story that really made me scratch my head, and I'm going to tell you about it right now. In the footage of Maddie and Kaylee at the grub truck on the night of the murders, November 12th, 2022, somehow Hannah Cleary can also be seen in that footage, even though she passed away in February. Hannah's sister posted the footage of Hannah on the live stream that night and is stating that the grub truck video they say is from the night of November 13th, 2022, is actually from the night of Hannah's murder/suicide from February 23rd, 2022. The photo her sister posted says, "How could my little sister be at the grub truck in November when she was murdered in February?" Now, I took it upon myself to review the full live stream footage from that night and make sure that the girl that Hannah's sister claims is Hannah Cleary was actually in the footage from that night. And sure enough, she was in it. She walks up to the grub truck with 3 friends about 8 minutes after Kaylee and Maddie leave. The timestamp I think is like 4:02. Don't take my word for that, but I think it's near the end of the night. Hannah then takes a photo of some friends and gets her food, and then she leaves with her group of friends. So what do you think? Is this actually Hannah Cleary or just a girl that looks a lot like her? I suppose her sister would know how she looks better than any of us. So if she says it's Hannah, the question is, can we believe her? Hannah's sister also commented back to someone asking why someone would even go through the lengths of covering something like this up. And she replied, Hannah was snitching on the Sinaloa cartel, amongst other reasons. But my question is, snitching on what? What was this seemingly innocent looking girl involved in? Dylan claimed Xana and Ethan would take Adderall. And in May of 2022, 2 Ohio students died of an overdose from fake laced Adderall pills. So it would appear that the cartel could potentially be in the business of sending laced Adderall pills specifically to college campuses. Then I asked myself, what would be the point of a cover-up and framing somebody? Why not just do a clean cartel hit, as they'd say, and just shoot everyone execution style? I thought maybe it could be because cartel hits are actually frowned upon in the United States and the public would probably freak the hell out. Is it because the corruption in the drug game goes as deep as the feds? Is Hannah's sister trying to insinuate the grub truck video was changed as part of this cover-up? That Kohberger was actually framed? The main investigator himself said that killing by stabbing is very personal, but Kohberger supposedly had no connection to these girls. So if he was just there to murder everyone in sight, why spare Dylan? Clearly it was targeted and it was personal. Olivia also mentioned there were experimental wounds found on the victims.
Defensive might not have necessarily been defensive, because at some point he was inflicting wounds that, I mean, any logical person would know wouldn't be fatal. So I don't want to speculate on, what exactly he was doing, whether it was to, just cause pain or whatnot. But yeah, these wounds didn't necessarily make a lot of sense. They were described to me as experimental. And on Kaylee specifically, there was evidence that he continued the attack after she was no longer even fighting back. So just in light of that.
Which means Kohberger was almost doing science experiments on them. For example, Ethan Chapin had cuts down both of his calves. This theory got me thinking that maybe those wounds could have actually been torture wounds. I know it sounds horrible, but I don't know. Maybe science is able to differentiate between the two wounds. Now, take what I'm about to say next with a grain of salt. We all know how Kohberger is an ex-drug user, heroin and meth. I have heard rumblings that Kohberger somehow knew the hit on the Idaho 4 was in the works, and the reason he was stalking the 1122 King Road residents was to try and protect them or to warn them. That's why his visit stopped after the murders took place. And it's the reason he was so easy to frame. I mean, the piece of DNA on the knife sheath was so small. It may seem insane to some, but come on, we've all seen some of those crazy CIA movies. Is it really that insane to think a group of people committed the crimes, cleaned up what they needed to professionally, then left a single piece of Kohberger's DNA on the sheath so he would be tied to the murders? I mean, the detectives couldn't even narrow down the exact year of the Elantra in the footage. It was like between 2012 and 2016 or 2018. They weren't even able to make out the license plate. It really wouldn't be that hard to get a bunch of different Elantras to drive around that night if this really was some organized crime hit. Maybe the girls were drug runners and that's what they got caught up in. Maybe Dylan was a drug runner and that's what she was caught up in. I don't know. This is all just something to think about. Another big theory that has been going around since the murders first became public is that the surviving roommates had something to do with it. I want to give them the benefit of the doubt and try to imagine what would have been going through my head in this situation. I probably wouldn't have assumed my roommates were being murdered if I had heard just a bit of extra noise. But Dylan apparently heard Xana scream, "There's someone in here," and then run down the stairs. Then she claims she heard crying or whimpering, followed by the faint voice of a man saying, "Don't worry, I'm going to help you."
And then she says, "There's someone here."
Yeah, when she goes, I can hear her go upstairs, and then I think she's in her room, and she says that someone's here, and I can tell she's scared, and she runs downstairs.
But you heard her on the stairs.
Yeah, I heard her running like super fast down the stairs.
You open the door, cry out to her,
Yes.
and then you close the door because you're scared.
Yes.
Right? What?
Opened the door again, and I heard what I thought was Kaylee crying in the bathroom, and I heard this man's voice say, "It's okay, I'm gonna help you," but it wasn't like in a nice way. Like it was just weird, and it was a voice I've never heard before. And then I called out to her, and there was no crying after that. I don't really know what happened after that.
So when you opened the door, you thought you heard Kaylee crying in the bathroom?
Yeah, but it could have been Xana, but I thought it was Kaylee at the time. Door again, and the guy is right there, and he's maybe my height, a few inches taller, not like skinny, athletic built. He has all black. He's wearing this masks that covers just his forehead and here, and it goes like around. He was white. He saw me and I saw him, and he just left.
From the time that you heard her say there's somebody here to the time that you saw him, how much time do you think?
I don't know, I think it was like around 10, 20 minutes.
Okay.
I mean, I was
Not
really
long.
out of it. Everything was kind of blurry. Like I don't fully remember it.
So you're telling me that Dylan can hear a statement in a normal talking voice volume and whimpering, but not the screams of someone being murdered? Because you can clearly hear the screams in the neighbor's doorbell footage. If that is Kaylee's dog barking in that audio, you can't tell me Dylan wouldn't have also heard that. It went on for like 3 minutes.
Nothing like that.
I've never heard anything.
Any cars that were in the area that you can think of that wouldn't have been normal?
Oh, I wasn't really looking at that.
Okay.
Something else that stood out to me after watching the Netflix documentary was that there seemed to be no further investigation or true interrogation into the roommates besides just believing their stories. Stories that aren't even really that believable. Dylan said that she made eye contact with the killer and he proceeded to just walk away.
Door again, and the guy is right there. He saw me and I saw him, and he just left.
Tell me right now why a cold-blooded killer wouldn't just take her out as well. To me, that doesn't make sense. Even the officers at the scene were saying, the killer must not have known she was in there. She's so lucky.
Saw a guy walking with a ski mask on. And walking himself. We're all just shook up. Holy shit. You see the call last night? It happened at like 4. This girl's not going to be alive that she probably didn't make a peep on her door. Probably didn't know that she was there.
I saw his eyes, and he saw me, but he didn't walk towards me and didn't see anything,
Okay.
which I found was really weird.
You open the door, cry out to her,
Yes.
and then you close the door because you're scared.
Yes.
Right? You open the door, call to her, close the door,
It also doesn't make sense why someone who supposedly stalked the house and knew everyone that lived there would just plan to leave survivors. I guess you could argue that maybe Kohlberger wanted to leave survivors as some sick fantasy about traumatizing people. It's not that far-fetched when the person is literally already a murderer. Another part of Dylan's testimony that seemed off to me, though, was that she didn't want to take full responsibility for what she had seen and heard that night. She kept saying, I don't know if that's what I actually saw or heard because I was drunk and afraid.
You had something to drink, so obviously you're going to sleep a little bit deeper, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it was like around 10, 20 minutes.
Okay.
I mean, I was
Not
really
long.
out of it. Everything was kind of blurry. Like, I don't fully remember it. She walked up the stairs with Murphy. I think she got to almost about the top of the stairs just by how many, like, stomps there was. And she said someone was here frantically, but it wasn't a yell because I know for a fact it wasn't like yell or shout because did not hear. And from what I heard, it's like between talking and yelling. Like, wasn't yelling, but it was in between there. I believe I was also very drunk. I don't know how much of this is real. Like, I don't know if my mind was, like, doing whatever. I don't know any of it. Like, half of the stuff, I don't know if it's a dream or if it's real. I just have no clue.
The kicker is that one of the girls, Yessie Aruajo, that hung around with the group and was with Dylan for a little on the night of the 12th, actually called Dylan out in her conversation with detectives, saying that Dylan wasn't even drinking that night.
She also mentioned that she was kind of like, she didn't know if that had actually happened or if she was just like out of it. Like, she just didn't know, which was kind of strange to me just because when we were at, I had seen her obviously, and she had also said that she just wasn't really feeling like getting drunk, or it was really hard for her too, and she just like wasn't really feeling it, and she really wanted to leave and go to with us, but she didn't end up going with us, and I don't know where she went.
Again, I kept drinking more. We were playing Rage Cage drinking game, so I don't know fully how much I had to drink. I obviously was probably drunk at this point.
Prior to that point, how much you had to drink? Up to the point that you don't remember, how much had you had to drink?
So, like, after the nap, I had about 3 or 4 drinks of seltzers.
Which is nothing.
When I'm drunk, I fall asleep a lot better, and during the weekdays, I get a lot more scared about things, but when on the weekends, because I have been intoxicated and I'm obviously drunk, I sleep a lot better, like a lot deeper sleep, I would say.
Oh my God.
So
I love how she's full of shit. Like, you weren't drunk.
It makes me wonder if Dylan not drinking has anything to do with the unflattering TikTok Madison Mogan posted of Dylan from Halloween night.
You fucking asshole! You fucking liar! You fucking manipulator!
Don't wear that outfit again.
Dylan looks extremely drunk and completely out of it. And honestly, if my friend posted that video of me, I would be upset. I would feel like my friend was trying to embarrass me. Maybe Dylan was embarrassed by that post, so she swore off drinking because she saw how bad it was for her. I mean, it's all speculation. There was one other thing, though, about Dylan's interview that stood out to me. When asked about the sliding glass door, she said she knew it was closed, but didn't know if it was locked.
it was closed. Because I remember we were making popcorn, and that would have freaked me out if the door was open, but I don't know if it was locked or not. I probably don't know, but I do know that the door was locked. The door is closed because I don't know, that door just being open kind of freaked me out.
But then she remembers that she actually let Murphy out when they first arrived home, and he went to the bathroom, and then she brought him back in and took him back upstairs.
Murphy when you got home?
Oh, I let him out. I forgot to add that. He was upstairs and I let him out to go potty real quick.
So you went upstairs?
Yeah, so I guess, I don't know how, I forgot about that, sorry.
Maybe she did go up to Kaylee's room, yeah.
Kaylee's, because it's mostly Kaylee's dog, so I heard him whining, I was like, okay, I'll go get him. Took him outside for a second, so I know no one was in Kaylee's room. Her lights were on, I know that for sure, her lights were on. I took Murphy outside and I just kept whenever I go outside in the dark, I'm always looking at my surroundings, didn't see anything, I know that. Looked around, brought him inside after he went potty or whatever.
I wonder if it was in front of the back.
Lake and him were hanging out a little bit, then I brought him back upstairs. So, yeah, I don't know, I forgot about that.
No, that's okay. This is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Are you comfortable?
My question now is, if she took Murphy out the sliding door to use the washroom, then shouldn't she know if she locked the door on her way back in? Now, of course, someone could have easily opened the door later in the night and forgot to lock it, but in that particular moment, She should have been able to answer that question. Did she have to unlock the door when she went out with Murphy? If yes, then the door was locked. And did she lock it back up on her way in? If yes, then the door was locked. If not, then the door wasn't locked. I don't know. I don't know the answer to any of these. They're just some of the questions that I've had. This video is based on public research and is completely opinion-based. I want to know your opinions on this case. I have nobody to talk to about this, so I really want to talk to you guys about it. Is it totally plausible that Bryan Kohberger did this alone and planned it all out? Yes, I believe that it is. Is it possible that he had help? Yeah, I think that could be a possibility too. Could the roommates have been involved? I mean, there are some weird gaps in their storylines. Could the university be linked to the Sinaloa cartel? That seems like a bit of a stretch, but not completely far-fetched, as the cartel does have a presence in Idaho, and the sister of a potential victim has actually spoken out. I so badly want to have faith in the judicial system, but it has fatal flaws, and I am constantly being disappointed. So why should I believe that this case is any different? A bunch of stones left unturned, things that don't add up, and they just look right past it all and convict the guy. Overall, this case makes me really sad. Whatever happened that night, 4 young lives were lost, and it's absolutely horrific. Let me know what your speculations and hangups are on this case, and if you believe that Kohberger is an evil, cold-blooded killer. It was great talking to you all, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!